Hear me, right? Oh, here
Hey
we go.
everybody, we are live. It's Bitcoin Steven with the BTC Guru and BitcoinHeadlines.tv. How's everybody doing on a Monday morning?
Well, I'm doing great, Steve.
Yeah, the market's been kind of topsy-turvy here the last few days.
Yeah. You know what? It's been a crazy last few days, and we got to think. It's not all Elon's fault, but he. I'll tell you one thing. After researching a few things, looking at the headlines, reading between the lines, I think Elon is either misinformed, which I doubt it, because he's a really smart guy, or
Right.
he's extremely strategic. Because let's back up a little bit. He announces a while ago that Tesla, as a corporation, is buying massive amounts of Bitcoin, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then, as any corporation does, at the end of quarters, they could test it's wise to test the liquidity of any storage, wealth storage that you're into, right?
Well, at the end of the day, it's wise to turn the highest net profit you can turn.
Right. But part of that is they didn't want to buy into something that when they sold, they would crash the market, right? So they took 10%, sold it. We didn't even know it. Market went up the whole time. So they're like, wow, okay, this is real. Bitcoin's real. This is a great storage of wealth. We sold 10%. It didn't affect the market at all. And so either subconsciously or consciously, I could see him thinking, we need to get some more Bitcoin. And we can offer people to buy cars with Bitcoin, but not many people are letting go of their Bitcoin. And cash is so freaking cheap right now. You can get a car loan for like 3%, 1%, sometimes 0%. And so who's going to spend Bitcoin, who's accelerating and increasing asset, when they can get cash for almost free and use Bitcoin as the backup for it, or as a security or whatever? So I could see him thinking, going, okay, what if I just put out a little tweet and see if it'll affect the price to go down using energy? I know his girlfriend too is younger, and the whole green thing is probably important to her. I think she's a little misinformed also, like a lot of people in that generation. Right. But that's another subject. And so he puts it out there, the price goes down, and they buy a bunch more. I don't have any facts for that last statement.
But it just goes to show the power of having a forum, power of having, building an audience. Trump used to do the same kind of thing, except he used to incite riots,
Yeah.
Where Musk, he's able to move the market. He's got 5.3 million Twitter followers or something like that.
Yeah.
So
and it really doesn't matter what he says, because what's happening. So I take that and I look at the other headlines, and all the whales are increasing their wallet balance, which means they're buying more Bitcoin. If you look at the volume of buying, it's massive right now because the price is so low.
Right.
And so it's happening all over. All the people that are in my group, they're texting me and saying, what's going on? And I'm saying, hey, there's still trillions of dollars moving in. There's still retail adoption that's happening. All the big whales and the corporations are buying more. MicroStrategy's leading that charge. They bought more on the dip. So the price down is in their mind a good thing. Because they wanted to go down, because they wanted to acquire more. Because they want it to go back up and they can make a ton of money. So
it's the only way that they can do it is they've got to, if they want to buy things, you can almost figure some of these people say to be sitting around kind of going, okay, what can we say to make the price drive down so we can have a buying opportunity?
Yeah, absolutely. And Gemini, which is an exchange, one of the top 5-6 exchanges out there, they put out their newsletter today, and their lead, they had two lead subject or bullet points. One was there's 53% of the people in Bitcoin are women, that's pretty cool. And the second thing is education is the most important thing about the adoption and the growth and the stability and the future of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, blockchain. And that, that's what you and I are doing here. That's why that's so important, is to get educated. And a lot of it is get educated on this what's going on with these prices and stuff, and not get, fear is nowhere. We don't. Let me back up a little bit. In our world right now, there's so much fear being presented to us, through the mainstream media, and just, with pandemic stuff, and prices going down and prices going up, for gas and food and all this stuff that's happening. I personally believe we're in some sort of transition, and how long and what it's going to be like, I have no clue, but I do. My gut's telling me we're in some sort of transition, and my gut's also telling me that Bitcoin and blockchain are on the financial side of things are the next, is what we're transitioning into.
Right.
It's going to replace the existing system. So if that is all true, which I believe it is personally, then getting educated is extremely important. And to use, don't just take what they're being fed. In this TV, TV's kind of came in big in the 50s, right? And so everybody that's been around since the 50s, we were getting spoon-fed information. It was real easy. It was like we didn't have
there was only three places to find it.
Right, yeah, exactly. But it was like pre-chewed for us. It was pre-digested for us. Like my son, when he was born, he was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, and we had to give him this formula it was really expensive, called Progestamil. It was half digested formula. And due to the fact that his body doesn't secrete the enzymes to break down food, so it had to be broken down beforehand. And that's kind of is equivalent to what like TV and mass media kind of does, is they pre-digest it and put, now there's been slants put into it and opinions and all that stuff. So and my point with this whole rant here is let's get educated and critically think, use our brain and our gut, because those two things together will weed out the untruths and keep the truths, and kind of give you a barometer and a way to go forward in this transitional time period that we're in right now.
Fear is something, one of my coaches used to say all the time, fear is basically, it's false evidence appearing real.
Right.
Okay. And like I say, you got to kind of take all that stuff with a grain of salt, because there are, you keep hearing about all the different fake news, all these different kinds of things, right? And you got to think, even the news sites, we've talked about this before, the news stations, and they're owned by who? They're owned by billionaires. Okay? Yeah. And those billionaires have opinions, and they have political allies, and guess what? That's what drives those media, is the ones who own them. Okay. It's not really what's happening in the news. It's what is best for them to project out into the world. Okay. Right. Why does somebody want to buy a newspaper or want to buy one of these things? Is because they want to try and control the talk that's going on in the media. Right.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's what they're trying to do.
And so we as a people that are consuming this information need to first of all always check, even stuff Steve and I say, check out everything. We're in this information age. It's very easy to check it out. It's also very easy to put out information that's completely inaccurate. So that's where I remember taking a class in high school, or I think it was high school or college, or whatever, a critical thinking class. And I thought, this is stupid. I don't understand why you have to have a critical thinking class. But now, as I get older, I understand it. Critical thinking is very important. When something feels a little bit off to you, it most likely is. And so you need to research and figure it out. Don't get lazy. Don't just consume what's being fed to us, because who knows where that food's being produced. I can go to a long tirade about how, blockchain is really going to fix this because it has visibility and blah, blah, blah. And we can talk more about that later, but education is so important. And this Elon thing is really, really kind of highlighted it of, is the price really, is it really crashing? No. I mean, you go look at the headlines, people are buying, everybody's is still bullish. All the target price points hasn't changed in the people that are in the know. That none of that's changed, and all the money coming in that we've been talking about still has not changed. It's just it's a little bit of fear that was put in the marketplace by either a strategic or an uninformed person that has
people are having conversations to drive their own interest. Remember the Reddit posts all about GameStop, and look what happened with all the GameStop stuff, right? I mean, if you can get a crowd movement going in today's world, you can follow the ups and downs. You can pretty well kind of predict what's going to be happening if you're really paying attention to the market. And that's why the education is so important. Yeah. You want to go out there and you want to see what everybody else has to say. Okay. But, again, just think about it with a little bit of common sense. Okay. If there's only going to be 21 million Bitcoin ever, okay, you got something there. And, we all remember when when the internet got started, right? I mean, if you're younger, you probably don't remember when the internet got started. Yeah. But I mean, everybody and their brother was like, what is this? This isn't going to work. No, This isn't going to work. You remember what dial-up was like? And we all put up with all that stuff. And, and it's like all of the negativity and all of the things that were bad about it. And here we are, 25, 30 years later. And it's like, look, how could we even live without this? Now we're so adopted to it, right? But anytime you go through these, real adoption phases, we have challenges. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all creatures of habit. We all do what we do because that's just the way we've been conditioned to do what we do, right? And to create new habits, we have to make changes, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And let me talk a little bit about energy. Any viable asset, especially a storage of wealth asset like gold, silver, Bitcoin, if there's no energy, there's no value in it. Okay, energy is important. When people mine gold, it costs them to mine the gold, right? And so as a simple example, let's say gold it takes $25 to mine an ounce of gold. They're not going to sell it for less than 25. It creates a foundation of value for it. The same thing is with Bitcoin. If Bitcoin was just created out of the air with no effort at all, then the underlying initial foundational value, it doesn't exist. But it does with Bitcoin because it does take effort. Now, this whole drain of the green, of the electricity, go watch Michael Saylor's videos, and it'll explain that we're not draining the electrical and producing system with mining and authenticating Bitcoin transactions and such. But you got to have value to begin with. Why is America in the past been so influential in the world? Is because of our labor. It was because you and I and everybody and all of our collective labor together is extremely valuable, and that's what and that's why if we talk about what we're just talking about, the people that are supposedly the puppet masters or whatever, trying to control that, because that's the most valuable asset that's here on Earth is you and I. And Bitcoin is right there. It needs energy to give it a foundational value. So that's an important part of it. And I mean, go look, if you want to do research, go figure out how much energy it takes to produce a freaking dollar with the printing presses and all that stuff. Way more than Bitcoin.
Well, even on the terms of, the adoption kind of a thing, think about, remember when we first started, when cell phones first came out?
Yeah.
I used to have one of those big old brick cell phones, right?
Yeah.
And it was one of these big giant things, right? And the phone bills were astronomical, and everybody was like, nobody's going to have phones. Not everybody's going to have phones. It's the stupidest thing in the world, right? And now, I mean, you can't find anybody that doesn't have a mobile phone,
right?
Okay? And kind of like we've talked about earlier, it's like you got to kind of think about, Bitcoin is kind of like the old mobile phone that could just receive calls and texts, right? Everything runs on it. It can receive calls and texts, just a phone, and then when the evolution, when the smart app, when the apps came out, now we have a smartphone, right? And that's kind of like what Ethereum is, right? That's Ethereum. Yeah. And you can see this whole thing happening again. This is kind of like what happened, just really back with cell phones. It's almost the same exact kind of a thing. And, it's anytime you have the adoption, I mean, you're just, how many times did you have your parents, other people say there's no way on in the world everybody's going to have cell phones, or that's just stupid. That's cost too much money. Why would anybody do that?
Yeah, I could never afford to having a cell phone.
It's been probably 15 years since I've had a phone line in my house.
Yeah, same here.
It's like, who has landlines now, right?
Yeah, and if you look at it, there's a transition point to where the adoption drove the price down to where everybody could afford it. But then Jobs came along and made it sexy. I mean, he really took a great idea, and this is going to happen with blockchain and Bitcoin. Somebody's going to come along and just take it to the next level as far as
that's the apps, right? That's all the apps on top of the smartphone. That's what makes it. If you think about it, years ago, back when before smartphones were out. Okay, if you look at all the apps that are on a standard like iPhone or a Droid phone right now, I mean, you got over $1 million worth of stuff that's on there. I mean, the GPS, all these other different kinds of things.
That's true.
That we have access to. I mean, that would have cost you millions of dollars to have all the apps and everything that you have on this one little phone right now.
Yeah, the speech recognition, all that stuff.
All of that stuff. I mean, but now you have it all there. And I mean, I see so many parallels with what we've got here with Bitcoin, kind of just like the mobile phone, as far as the adoption. And I think it's, there's not 21 million phones, okay, but everybody's going to be. We know for sure that that's not something that's going to go away. Is communication between people, right? Yeah, that's not going to go away. So
I want to answer one more question too, because this is always the next question, or one of the first questions everybody asks. And I wrote down my notes because it's important. Like what is Bitcoin? What gives it? Why? Why is it has any value to it at all? And we talked about energy, so that's part of it. But here's the reason why Bitcoin is invaluable, which means it has more value than we could conceive. It's basically because it's a trustless distributed technology. It's the network, a trustless distributed technology, which means we don't have to trust it. When we go to the bank, we got to trust that teller is going to be honest and actually put in the right number and put that money into the account. There's people involved in this centralized system that we have. In the blockchain world, it's a trustless system. We don't need to trust it because it only does one thing or two. It does what it does. It's programmed and it doesn't do anything else. You and I have talked about this many times. There's no emotion. There's no agenda. There's nothing to it. It's a distributed technology that does what it does. So we don't need to put trust in a person.
Well, if you think about it, we've been sending a digital. I mean, a lot of people get confused because it's a digital currency. It's a digital money. Okay, but let's look at the money that we really have right now. Okay, we have money that's supposedly it's sitting over there in Wells Fargo. Okay, now is all my money sitting right there in that account? No. Okay, but I can go on computer right here. I can go to wellsfargo.com and I can send you money without you having to go anywhere, right? Mm-hmm. And by doing that, that's sending you. That's kind of like sending you digital currency, isn't it? Because you didn't get cash. What did you get? You got something sent onto a card that said you got money here, right?
Right.
I mean, this has literally been kind of digital transactions all along. It's just kind of framed differently, and it's in a different. It's just in this whole decentralized world, that we're not in right now. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. And we in this decentralized world, this trustless distributed technology, which is distributed, it's all over. It's not in one place. It's not controlled by one person or one computer. And then the consensus algorithm, which validates the transactions, we could trust that because that's all it does. It gathers the consensus of all the nodes. Hey, everybody's looked at this transaction. Yes. Did it balance out? Did all the check digits work? Yes. It's a valid transaction. Put it into the ledger. Move on.
It just works.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what gives it extreme high value. Is that what we just talked about? The trustless part of it. That's
right,
why.
Because what other thing in the world just works, Doug? What else out there just works?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
That's why I think I said this a couple of shows ago that if God was going to design a perfect digital money and storage of value, it'd be Bitcoin, because it's real simple and there's no agendas and there's no centralized control. You can't. And we're past the point of anybody trying to stop anything. It's just now we're in adoption phase.
Yeah, and again, the adoption phase takes different times for different things. Looking back at the cell phones, the internet, it's just been it took a long time for people to adopt the internet. God, for Christ's sake, remember what it was like when we first started watching movies and dial-up phone, AOL, all these kinds of things, and now all of a sudden everything's got so fast, and our computer processing power is getting so much faster, and it's just exponential the way that things grow like that.
Yeah.
And that's what's, presenting all these other incredible opportunities that are going to be layered on top of all of this stuff. I mean, if you got excited about the things that happened because of the internet and because of, this is just going to take everything, and smartphones and stuff. I mean, this is just going to take everything to a totally, totally, totally different level. And where you can really automate the fact of making money and getting paid.
Exactly. And if you thought, oh, dang it, I missed the .com bubble, I didn't participate, I didn't get to make money. Well, this is not a bubble. It's not a bubble. But this new transition that we're going into, the blockchain world, it's we're at the ground floor. This is the best time to be getting into it.
It really is. It's real exciting.
And education is key. Educate yourself. Educate. We got our show. There's tons of people out there doing stuff. Go find it. Go to Gemini.com. Go to their. Give me a second here. They have a Cryptopedia. You mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. Go to their resource. So go Gemini.com. Go to the resources menu, and click on the Cryptopedia. It basically It's basically all the terms in the blockchain Bitcoin world and what they mean. If you just read that once, you'll educate yourself greatly.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's not like you've got to go in and get a PhD in this kind of stuff, guys. It's just you need to understand the terms. You need to understand the buzzwords in the industry. You need to understand what they mean, and and it's kind of like, it's the kind of like, it's kind of, that's how you transition with a lot of things, is it's, when you're explaining what something new is, it's kind of like this, right? Mm-hmm. And we're just in a fantastic time. We've got Doug and I are putting on a 6-week training that we're going to be doing here. It's going to be an amazing masterclass where we're going to take you through, teach you everything you need to know about the blockchain, and then how to monetize that, and how to go out and help others do the same thing and get their business involved.
What's that website? earnwhileyoulearn.io.
That's right. Let me put the banner up there and see if I can put that up there somewhere.
So to sign up for the class or get more information on it, Steve's going to put it up here, but it's earnwhileyoulearn.io.
There you go.
earnwhileyoulearn.io.
Good little video there, on-demand training there that kind of goes through the entire process, kind of what it's all going to be about. And it's going to be an amazing class. I mean, we're going to be working with you personally. One of the things that's going to really make this so successful is the fact that, the class is going to start, I think it's on June 29th is the date that we've got set. And we are going to be talking with you weekly before then, really to find out where you are, where you're going, where you're trying to go. Because the unique thing about, business and life is everybody's at different starting points. Nobody's just sitting on the same line waiting to learn something, right? There's no one size fits all approach to this kind of education. So it's really important to find out where everybody's at so we can give you the most, give you what you need, what you want, really what you're missing type of a thing.
Yeah. So the exact information you need to apply to your situation, your life, your lifestyle, your business, whatever, your idea. I'm in a forum with Cardano. Cardano is a blockchain that's kind of the next level of Ethereum, and they got an online forum going on where you basically present an idea and people will help you with it. It's kind of like an online mastermind group. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So I'm preparing for that, and it reminds me to what we're doing here. The next level learning is where you're going to earn at. And so
you're not going to earn it if you don't learn it first.
Right. So Steve and I are right now trying to provide as much information to get you interested in the blockchain world and Bitcoin and how important it is, and to train and provide, what we know and what we see every day, and relay that to you. And if you want to take it to the next level and actually apply it, get it integrated into your business, take your business to the next level, this is where the earnwhileyoulearn.io class will come into it, where we can specialize it and help you specifically with our 50 plus years or 45 plus years of knowledge in Steve and the marketing and lead generation and growth, and mine in the operational and technical side and blockchain side of things. I don't know where you're going to find a better information out there. We're just as good, if not better, than most trading systems out there.
Well, it's interesting. The more when you start to learn this and you start to understand, like, smart contracts, for example, kind of the stuff like Gary Vaynerchuk is doing. We talked about it a little bit last week. If you guys didn't catch that, you can go over to VeeFriends.com. He's got 10,200 NFTs, okay, that he's got going over there. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday on my way back from the store, and it was this golf podcast that I like. And this guy, he was talking, and he's a guy who loves drawing cartoons, okay, like this. And he's a real famous guy in the golf space and stuff. Made me think about what Gary's doing. Gary's drawing these little goofy, things that he draws.
Right.
His little chicken that he draws, and you get to have like one meeting with him a year, for 2 hours for 20, like $20,000 or something like that.
Wow.
So you start thinking about, hearing different things. Oh, this guy, he loves to draw. I bet he would love to do something like this and combine it, with making money with what he's already doing.
Yep.
So it's kind of like there's so many different ways that you can think about helping different people get into a space that they'd love to be in, but they just got no idea, first of all, that it's even there. And then once they know it's there, where's the door and how do you get in? How does it work? And there's going to be just a lot of opportunity there. I mean, we're going to end up with an agency here that'll I think we'll ultimately end up with a one-stop agency where people would kind of come in and get anything that they want to get done, as far as this space goes.
Yeah.
So
especially coming out of a pandemic and all this coronavirus stuff that has affected so many small businesses, you kind of have to reinvent yourself nowadays. And why not reinvent it on what we all believe is the next commerce transactional platform?
Think about all the things out there that are going on in the world, and what other space could you be in where where everybody needs to learn this kind of stuff. Okay. Yeah. It's like, there's so much other space out there that you could, but this is like a knowledge that if you don't learn it here, where are you going to learn it? Okay. Yeah. It's like, where are you going to learn it? And, it's just really important stuff. And there's a lot of cool stuff going on. So head over to, check it out at earnwhileyoulearn.io. Doug and I, it's going to be a 6-week class, hands-on. We're going to be meeting with you guys a couple times a week. You'll be part of our private Facebook group. It's just really going to be a lot of things where we're going to get into some real deep stuff. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, guys. Anything else today, Doug?
That's good. 3. I'm all talked out. I'm already choked up.
There you go. All right, guys. Well, we will be back tomorrow about the same time, same channel, and we will hopefully see you all then. Make it a great day.
Take care.